I'm super excited that I'm finally upgrading my camera for my podcast. This camera has probably done about 130 different interviews for the Elite Recruiter podcast and some other stuff that I've done. But this camera is amazing. This camera is great. It's a great starter camera if you are looking at doing something like great camera quality, great image quality, great sound. I do have an additional mic hooked up, so that way, but this still is like a great thing. But I decided to finally upgrade and check out what I got. The Sony FX30. So if you guys want to join me for a quick unboxing, let's go. All right, let's do this. Cable cord, warranty information. Okay, let's get to where the heavy stuff is. All right, let's see what's in here. Here we go. This is my brand new FX30. It's a cinema line camera, and here's actually one of the biggest reasons why I chose this camera over many of the other cameras. I can't tell you how many YouTube videos I have watched, how many camera influencers I've talked to, how many people I've interviewed, and I actually was in love with the Sony ZV-E1 at first until I found out that it had major overheating issues. And I do podcasts. Most of my podcasts run about, say 35 minutes to maybe an hour. And I did not want the camera to die halfway through. Also, one of the biggest reasons why I picked this is there's actually in here, fans. These fans are set up so that way the camera will not overheat. It'll keep on recording time, it'll just keep on going. And on top of that, you can actually set this up and travel with it and actually hook up podcast mics to this camera. It is also can be USB-C powered. So I can literally just plug this into my computer, set it up for streaming, and hit go. So a good majority of the time, I will have this set up next to my computer. One of the things that scared me away from this camera at first was so many people talked about how this camera cannot do photos. Well, here's the thing. Once I started doing some research, once I started talking to people that could do it, it's not a full hybrid camera. This is a Sony cinema line camera, but it can take pictures. So as soon as I found out that it could take some really good pictures, it's not going to do burst mode for sports and that kind of stuff, I decided to go for it. But excited that this new camera showed up. Excited that leveling up the podcast. Podcasting is one expensive hobby, but excited to share this with you guys, the unboxing of the Cinema FX30, and let's go. And real quick, some additional things that came with it. Here we have, this is what we call, it's called an XLR handle. You can actually plug in the podcast mics into this. So if I'm traveling, actually if I want setting up a podcast at home, clean audio, clean sound directly into here. But what's super cool is if I do go to a conference or event and I actually want to use the camera to actually record a podcast live, I can literally just hook up both microphones here and have it go. So here's the XLR handle. Highly recommend picking that up if you are getting this camera too and you are doing podcasts. And the last piece that came with this is a Sigma lens. I got the 18-50, so it's kind of like a little bit of a one size fits all. I know there's a favorite lens for podcasters out there, but I thought this would be a good starter lens. So excited about this. Sigma actually makes some really good lenses. One of the nice things about a Sony camera is Sony has a lot of partnerships with additional companies like Sigma. This isn't one of their, the Sony G Master series, but this is going to be a fun lens that I can now I can use for the podcast, but I can also take when we travel to France and also take some awesome pictures of our new son. So, but excited, leveling up the podcast, leveling up the video quality, leveling up the sound quality, and excited what's going to happen with, the Elite Recruiter Podcast 2.0.